All right, y'all. Welcome back to Inside the Pageant Police. Okay. Now, what are we talking about today? We're talking about the Miss Cosmo 2025 prelims. Okay, because one of y'all asked me, who did I like? Okay. And first of all, before I get into who my top overall picks are, I want to just say to all of my pageant girlies out there who are looking for a place to compete, as of right now, this is year 2 for Miss Cosmo. In my opinion, this is a S tier pageant. They are doing a unbelievable job of creating an event that focuses around the young women and provides a really spectacular opportunity for the contestants to have a fun time, right? Like, they have a bunch of different runways leading up to the actual preliminary competition. They have a lot of preliminary awards that they give out. And frankly, this was, despite how I feel about the gowns, all right, because this was my third watch through of prelims, and I stick by my whole last video where I reviewed everybody. And the gowns, y'all, we're just gonna completely pretend like the gowns don't exist and close our eyeballs and enter into a happy zone where we don't have to look at another nude illusion beaded sparkle like slop. Okay, outside of that, this was hands down one of the most competitive bunch of contestants in a beauty pageant that I have seen in a really, really long time. Every single one of these contestants did a remarkable job. It was extremely difficult, at least from my perspective. And so you had to get into the nitty gritty, teeny tiny, like nitpicky things to really try and figure out who these standouts were, at least in my opinion. I think overall, 10 out of 10 for me on Miss Cosmo. I think the contestants are clearly bringing a level of poise and practice to this competition that, if, in my opinion, you are a highly competitive queen, Miss Cosmo is where you need to be at, because every single one of these contestants, phenomenal job, ladies. Truly, you are making it incredibly tough for the judges. Now, what do I look at personally when I'm looking at a beauty pageant, right? I'm looking at your ease, right? Your comfort. How effortless do you make your routine look, right? Because all of it's a routine, all of it is practiced, all of it is planned beforehand, right? You plan your poses, you plan your turns, you plan your facials, and you practice all of these to the point where ideally it becomes completely effortless. And yeah, Kiwi agrees. Okay, boss lady in the corner. She has opinions. So it's the effortlessness of all of these different components coming together and creating a performance that is smooth and just perfectly executed, right? So I'm looking at your camera work, right? Like, are you making eye contact with the cameras? Because the reality is an enormous amount of pageant viewership is online these days. So what is your camera connectivity looking like? Are you, moving and following the cameras when you're walking? What is your facials like, right? Like, are your facial expressions smooth? Are they, are you flowing from one face into another face with, again, that effortlessness? And like, does it look natural, right? That's the whole goal, is to have all of these different things come together to give you an effortless, natural look to what you're doing, even when there's clearly like artfulness to it, right? And part of also what comes in with cameras is a huge part of the role of a pageant queen these days is your ability to give the camera an opportunity to snap photos of you that can then be used in promotional material, right? So like, are you giving the camera the angles, right? Like, are you giving the camera as many opportunities as possible to get a good shot, right? And so those are all the things that I'm thinking about when I'm looking and judging a beauty pageant, right? And obviously, I already talked in depth about the gowns. Y'all need assistance. We need to be delivered from this evil. And you give me a call, babies, okay? I got you, all right? I got you. Just give me a ring, honey, okay? But beyond that, that's what I'm looking for, right? And so, what were some standouts for me, all right? And, okay, wait, before we get into that. Some of y'all out here accusing me of not, being a little too forthright and forthcoming with my opinions. Well, first of all, baby, if you don't like my opinion, you can exit the video. You don't have to be here, okay? And to answer the question, who am I? Darling, I am no one, okay? My opinions are just about as relevant as a fart in the breeze, okay? So if you don't agree with them, go ahead, let me know. I love to have a good disagreement, okay? I love critique, I love criticism, it's how we improve, okay? So if you don't like what I have to say, great, but you know what? You also have the opportunity to leave and not listen, okay? Also, this is my video and I'll do what I want, all right? So, this nobody has opinions and you can choose to listen or you cannot. And for the record, I never claimed to be a nice person. I am a good person. I'm not a nice person. All right. Now, my honorable mentions. Okay. Like I already said, I am gassing up, glazing the absolute shiznits out of Miss Cosmo. Okay. Because I was impressed. I thought for it being their second year, and the size of the space that they had, they managed to deliver a competition that was different. The staging was fantastic, okay? I really love the double-ended stage. I think that worked magnificently. It was different. We've never seen that before. It felt grand. It felt impactful visually without overwhelming the contestants, and it still felt intimate. Like when you saw the crowd watching, you could tell that the contestants felt connected with the audience, and the audience was close enough that they could feel a personal connection with the queens. And you really also saw that with how enthusiastic the crowd at Miss Cosmo was, which we love a good, hype crowd, okay? They absolutely gave every single contestant so much love and appreciation. So thank you, Cosmo fans, okay? We appreciate it. Without you, pageants would be nowhere, okay? So shout out to the stage and just Cosmo in general for putting on such a really phenomenal top drawer pageant production, okay? So shout out to production, shout out to that double-ended stage. No notes, loved it. I thought that they kept the show rolling really well. It was, all pageants are long, but they kept it rolling, they kept it moving. There were very few, moments where it felt like things were dragging. So, all props to Miss Cosmo, their production team, their stage. And again, in case you missed it in my last video, shout out to the hair and makeup team, okay? I don't know who is doing hair and makeup at Cosmo this year, but 10 out of 10, no notes. Absolutely every single one of these young women looked incredible. The hair, the makeup, everything worked. You could tell whoever the makeup artist was really just an artist at their job in the most true sense. Okay, they clearly paid attention to every contestant's facial features. They were paying attention to, skin tone matching. They were paying attention to, making sure that each contestant looked like themselves, but in the best version possible. All right, so shout out to hair and makeup. Phenomenal. Whoever you are, you deserve all the praise, all the glory, and I mean, fantastic. Keep it up. Keep it up. Also, honorable mentions. Shout out to the country of Guadeloupe. Okay, Guadeloupe has really been sending some powerhouse contestants to some of the top, our big pageants this year. So, shout out, props to Guadeloupe. They're really, putting in an effort to be a pageant powerhouse. So shout out to Guadeloupe. And shout out to Ecuador. Okay, Ecuador had really fantastic routine and facial smoothness. She did a really good job. Now, who were my best face, right? Who did I have for my favorites for face? And I'll try and put a little, PDF up here of everybody's headshots. But I liked Bahamas, Cambodia. Who did I have? Guyana, Laos, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe were some of my favorite faces. I mean, it's a beauty pageant, y'all, so the face cards better not be declining, okay? But it is a competition, and we do have to play favorites, so those were mine. Let me just double check and make sure that I'm not forgetting anybody. This is what we made our little document for, okay? Bahamas, Cambodia, Guyana, Laos, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe were my best in face. Okay, we're not doing a best in gown because no, we are not going to reward mediocrity. Okay, we're not going to reward mediocrity. So no, ignore the gowns. Now, in alphabetical order, because that's the way that we watch, my top contestants, okay, were Bahamas, Bangladesh, Cambodia, Colombia, Laos, Myanmar, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. So no blondes in the group this year, and I felt kind of bad about that, but then I went back through the headshots, and I think there's only 4 or 5 blondes this year. So you know what, statistically speaking, if there's only 4 or 5 of you in the competition, sorry, none of my blondes made it this year. But anyways, that's who my favorites were. I thought those ladies delivered performances that were just, marginally better than everybody else, all right? And again, you have to be nitpicky, especially when you have a bunch of contestants that are coming in as strong as the 2025 Miss Cosmo contestants, okay? So again, shout out to all of my Cosmo girlies, because seriously, this was a phenomenal year and I needed it. I'll be honest, with all of the beauty pageant drama that's been going on and the really disappointing decline of Miss Universe. Miss Cosmo, thank you. We needed it. We needed this eyeball cleanse. We needed this palette refresher before the new year. And so far, y'all have delivered. And I cannot wait to see finales tomorrow, because phenomenal pageant, y'all. Phenomenal pageant. So I may not be a nice person, but this was a really well done beauty pageant. Keep it up, Miss Cosmo. If I had not aged out, you might get me coming back to compete, okay? Because that was chef's kiss. All right. So good luck. I know none of my queens are going to be watching this, but to future you, I just want to say congratulations. Every single one of you should be unbelievably proud of your performance thus far, and I cannot wait to see what you deliver tomorrow morning. I will be watching. All right. And again, shout out to Miss Cosmo, the production, the staging, and especially the hair and makeup team, because fantastic. You delivered. It is clearly a group that is doing everything that they can to deliver a really unique and special experience for these young women. So, Miss Cosmo, who knew? Can't wait to see what you do in the future. And we will be watching tomorrow. Have a good one, y'all.